What's up, guys? This is Chris here, and I just wanted to do another quick optics mounting review, actually. I'm going to do a video on the Scalarworks K6i, which I think is probably arguably my favorite scope here in a little bit. But before I did that, I did want to mention what optics mount that I use when I can afford it, because it is my favorite optics mount, and this is going to be the Scalarworks Leap Mount. Now, if you haven't heard of the Scalarworks Leap Mount or are familiar with Scalarworks at all, I use a lot of their mounts. They've actually sent me a couple. They sent me this one. However, I bought enough to bankrupt me. I mean, I really enjoy their aim point mounts. I like their MRO mounts. I have a lot of their mounts, and their scope mount is arguably my favorite because it comes in at an unbelievably low weight while still doing all of the things that I want a scope mount to do. And basically what I want a scope mount to do is hold the scope as durable and reliable as possible with as little amount of weight as possible while coming off and on the gun when I want it to with ease. And honestly, Scalarworks has done the best job out of all the mounting systems that I've ever seen. There are lighter mounts. The Aero Precision mount comes in mind, but it is not nearly as durable, and trust me on that. I broke two of those. You would have a really hard time breaking this. Now, this is 5 ounces, which I think is like an ounce heavier than the Aero Precision, but what you get out of it is a quick detach capability via these wheels right here. You just turn the wheels off, turn it on, turn it back on, and it will retain 0 if you put it on correctly and the appropriate rail slots and all that. So you should probably mark where you have it on your gun and make sure to always kind of push it as far forward as possible, and then torque it down to the closest amount you can. The other thing I like about the scope mount a ton is how durable it is in its construction. It's got an I-beam construction on it, and it's very wide in the actual rings itself, which lend it to be very durable. Another thing I like, especially compared to the Aero Precision mount, which is going to have the screws on the top, is you're running a lot of leveling issues with cheaper, less quality mounts. And with this scope, not only do you not have that issue because the screws are on the side here, so it folds out and folds back in, but you also, if you can see it down there, you also have a self-leveling screw, which is pretty sweet. So you can screw that out, level the scope, tighten everything down, take it back off, and unscrew that leveling screw, and you've leveled your scope without even a tool or anything like that, and it's super easy. So no leveling issues whatsoever. 5 ounces overall weight, extremely durable, and you have the QD system. The only downside of this scope is they know how good it is because it's incredibly expensive. You're talking around $400 price range-ish for this optics mount. And is it worth it? Well, that's up to you. Do you want the best thing? That's like saying, is a Lago Arms Alien worth it? Well, it sure is if you use it a lot. But if you don't use it a lot, probably not. If you're securing something like a Scalarworks K6i where you've already spent $2,000 on an optic and you're willing to spend the extra just to have it go on a bunch of different rifles, which is what this one does, and on top of that, you don't want to lose 0, and you put it on a gun where you might actually be using it for serious purposes, because that's the thing, right? The new modern thing is to use the variable optics for serious purposes like self-defense, law enforcement, military, things like that. I would recommend investing in a super high quality optics mount. And when you do that, if you want to get in lower than the $400 price range, you're going to end up having a lot of weight in the actual optics mount itself. So especially if you have a heavy optic like a Razor 1-10, something like that, the gun is going to be so unwieldy after a while. You're probably going to wish you spent another extra $100 to get an ultra lightweight mount like this. And the reason why I say that is because I've done those things. As a reviewer, I get to make a ton of mistakes so you don't have to. If I was going to do everything over again, I would recommend getting one solid optic, getting one solid mount like this, and being able to switch it between different rifles and having a quality scope instead of having a couple of cheap scopes that you really don't want to shoot out of that don't retain 0. So that's just my personal opinion. If I would have gotten this a long time ago, I probably would have owned a lot more of these, but this is absolute co-witness, but they have a lower 1/3 model that raises your head up a little bit, and then they have a 197 model as well, and then on top of that, they have a new model coming out that has an offset mount for your side red dot there if you want to run an RMR or a Holosun, something like that, SRO, whatever you want to run on the side for a cant red dot. that's really cool, having an included one of that. So I'm going to get one of those eventually and do a review of that as well. I just figured I would do a review of the optic first. And yes, I see that my pin is coming out. That's actually the next thing I'm going to do, believe it or not. I don't know where they went here, but I'm going to install some anti-walk pins right after this video is over in this gun and in another one of my 2A armament lower. So you don't have to tell me about that. But the video is about the optics mount, and I love the optics mount, obviously, because it's on one of my favorite rifles. And if you're interested in watching a video of this optic and mount in action, I actually do have a loadout video with this 12.5 BCM here, so go check it out. If you're going to get one optics mount and price is not a factor, man, it's hard to beat the Scalarworks. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.